let's do this Shapiro thing.
Okay.
So they're coming for Obergefell. I mean, and I can't help but wonder if part of the reason why they are coming for marriage equality now, part of it is because they are very nervous about having overturned Roe v. Wade. I know this may be counterintuitive, but they are trying to shift the playing field, like a limited hangout, I guess is what you could almost call it. They don't want people to pay attention to the fact that we're going to have 26 states in this country where abortion is going to be illegal. They don't want people to pay attention to the fact that the tens of thousands of women and childbirthers who have ectopic pregnancies are in grave health risk. They don't want to talk about the fact that young girls, will be forced to carry pregnancies. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the likelihood of a 50-state federal abortion ban. They feel more secure in talking about overturning marriage equality and being homophobic and being transphobic.
It's also like this kind of, they've achieved something large. They got their wish. Roe versus Wade is overturned. Now there's a crack in the system, and they want to see how many more cracks they can create.
Definitely. They're also...
It's an all-out blitz, and it's the right thing to do from their perspective, strategically, right? Because they see an opening, and they're gonna take as much as they can.
You've broken into the vault. The alarm's already running.
Right, exactly. So don't just take the 10,000. Take the gold bricks as well, right?
But what's amazing is that just like they seemed surprised at the implications, many of them, of an abortion ban in a given state, and are trying to pretend that that's not the case, they also don't have any ability to deal with marriage equality now that it has been law of the land for 8 years or so, and it has not been raining cats and dogs like they said it would. It has not been destroying traditional marriages like they said it would. I mean, you don't understand the rhetoric that was going on during the first decade of the century was that if you allow gay people to get married, it's going to destroy my marriage, and not just mine, but other people. Like, it's going to destroy straight people's marriages.
The sanctity of marriage is under attack.
And so they don't have that argument anymore because everybody has seen that, like, it just meant that there was a little bit more married people, and that probably, like, cake businesses got a little more business.
And more weddings.
And there was more weddings and
event planners.
That was basically it.
Yeah.
So they don't have an argument for this anymore. And they don't seem to have come up with any other one. Here is Ben Shapiro, one of the key intellectual pillars of the conservative movement. And this is what he's put on the screen, or on Twitter, in response to
Ted Lieu.
Ted
Lieu said, no, he's saying Americans who are LGBTQ don't have a right to marriage because in his mind, it somehow isn't useful for society. And that was a response to Ben Shapiro's earlier tweet. If we want to click on that first, but we don't really need the context.
But here's the important part. So Ben Shapiro writes, there is no constitutional, and then he puts into quotes, right. I'm not sure exactly why. But
right. It's because it's supposed to be sarcastic. Right.
I guess. It's just weird.
There are constitutional rights, so
why don't
the quotes
you put
are not necessary.
If it's supposed to be in like a mean girl voice. But okay. So there is no constitutional right, as if this is like a word that he has made up or something like that.
Yeah, you have to do the voice.
For two women to marry one another. The founders would have died laughing. All right, let's just take that first sentence. There's also no constitutional right for a man and a woman to get married. This is not the issue whatsoever. Nobody's arguing there's a right for people to get married in the Constitution. Obergefell was decided based upon the 14th Amendment, which says that everyone essentially must be treated under the law equally unless there is some really serious government interest in not doing so. Okay? And so there is no right for two men or two women to marry. That's correct. There's also no right for a man and a woman to marry. There's no right for anyone to get married in a constitution. But the government affords many, many rights and benefits to married people, as does society. I think back in the day, they had enumerated, folks had counted them out. There's something over 1,000 rights and privileges associated with being married in this country. Visitation rights, tax benefits, you can sign off. You can't testify against, somebody in a court of law. There's a whole host, obviously 1,000 of these. And if the government is going to afford those rights to a man and a woman when they marry, there has to be some reason, two people when they get married, man and a woman when they get married, there has to be some reason, because that right is not afforded to three people who get married. Maybe people could argue that it should be, the number's not relevant, but the government has decided we're going to give special privileges to two people who form this contract. And there is no reason whatsoever why those two people, man and man, woman and woman, aren't eligible. There's no government reason. You could say there's a governmental reason that you shouldn't marry your child or your sister or your brother because we have decided that that perhaps potential offspring could be problematic, or that there's a special relationship. You're not two people who are otherwise unrelated entering into the contract, whatever. People want to debate that, they can debate that. But two people who have no relationship to each other decide to enter into this marriage contract and get these benefits, the government awards them. There's no argument as to why, under equal protection under the law, you wouldn't afford that to a man and a man. And then he says the founders would have died laughing.
Yeah, the founders didn't create the 14th Amendment, you idiot.
100 years between the founders, you should put those in quotes, and the 14th Amendment on which this case was based. The founders would have also died laughing at, what? Women voting?
I can't impregnate my slaves?
Wait a second. No slaves? My God, man. What are you, crazy? Or something like, what do you mean, no witches? This is all, we know what they would have died laughing at is well, how could this idiot think that we would have known what would have taken place 100 years after our deaths? What a fool. And then he goes on, he says, there's no moral right, again, he puts this in quotations, to government approval for whatever sexual relationships you form. That doesn't mean a legal bar to such activity. Okay. Why is he bringing up moral? Because there's no question about morality in this at all. There's no question about morality in this. And this is incidentally him denying the question of government not seeing a social utility to this. The reason why he brings up more morality in this instance, even though he's doing it as a side, as sort of like a bank shot, there doesn't need to be a moral right here. It just needs to be that government has decided to provide certain rights to some people and has no basis into which to deny them to other people. That is, two people can form a contract where they are married and get these benefits based upon the fact that they love each other, or they at least pretend to love each other. But he brings in morality because he is a theocrat. He wants his religious morality, which in this instance is a fundamentalist version of Judaism, to dictate the lives of others because he is a theocrat and a fundamentalist, and that's what they do. They believe their religion should be the ground rules for everyone's life. And if they could do away with government, in his instance, have, I guess he would install himself as the Pope of the Jews. Judaism doesn't have these type of hierarchies to dictate the way that people should live. They would do it, but they realize we can't get rid of government here. So we need to use government as a way of enforcing our religious values. That's it. It is very simple. This is not an intellectual argument. This is not a facts versus feelings argument.
It's not history.
It's not history.
It's not even a constitutional law argument because he ignored. First of all, he doesn't seem to understand that the 14th Amendment was created later. But secondly, they all these, strict constructionist constitutional types ignore the 9th Amendment, which is all about saying that, no, there are rights that are outside of the ones that we're explicitly outlining here.
Well, that's the 9th Amendment, exactly. But
they conveniently forget that. But
this isn't the 9th Amendment argument. This is like, because government could say tomorrow, there's no marriage. We just don't recognize marriages. You want to get married, go down there and, go have your priest or your rabbi or your imam or whatever marry you. We don't care. We're just not giving you extra rights. You're going to have to file your taxes the same way.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be the same. And if the government did that, then there would be no right to marriage equality because nobody has a right to marry.
And beyond
this is just a pure 14th Amendment.
Yeah.
Andrew from DC asks, are people like Shapiro ignorant or malicious? I'm convinced they went to law school, were taught how certain arguments sound good, but are actually faulty and realized, oh, so this is how I can trick dumb people, sort of like reading 1984 as a how-to manual. He is both ignorant and malicious. He is ignorant insofar as he believes the word of God as communicated through some people thousands of years ago. In his instance, I don't know, what were we, 4,000 or 5,000, I guess, when the Torah was written, 5,000, 5,000 plus. That's the word of God, and that therefore, that is what everything is and supposed to be. And malicious insofar as he hides the ball and tries to make it like I'm making a logical argument or I'm making a governmental argument, and he's not. He's making the argument of a theocrat because he is a theocratic fundamentalist, period, end of story. You don't need to know anything else because that is what and he is not alone. 50%, there is no block of people who votes more consistently or voted more consistently for Donald Trump, other than white people, I guess, white men, for Donald Trump than evangelical fundamentalist Christians. And that is the story that is going on here. And that's what they have, and that what you want to talk about, like, why are they pushing transphobia? Why are they pushing homophobia? Why are they pushing misogyny? Matt Gaetz at Turning Point saying, if you're for abortion, you're probably too ugly to get pregnant. Yeah, that's not like a we care about the lives of people argument.
And so if he was truly like, do your own thing, we are for small government, then fine. As you say, all of the tax breaks, all of the rights afforded to married people for whatever their gender is, should be out the window then. And then it can just be an individual contract between two people and take that out. But that's not the reality. They want a permanent underclass of a variety of people. That's why they demonize immigrants, because they want them to have fewer rights so that they're more amenable in taking low wages and doing scut work, and they're also racist. And I say that, whatever. But they want there to be a permanent underclass of people of different stripes, and they want to essentially punish gay people for being gay, so you don't have access to these tax breaks and all of the things that I want afforded to me.
Yeah, they don't want it normalized because it is an affront to their religious fundamentalism.
And they want to punish them, too.
Ash Manson. Sam, are you a practicing Jew? I've always wondered. I celebrate the high holidays. I've never done a show on Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. I celebrate Passover. I have a couple of Seders. My children, one has been bat mitzvahed. The other will be bar mitzvahed. I was bar mitzvahed. I am a practicing Reform, maybe arguably Reconstructionist Jew. Thank you for the question.